Welcome again, everyone. I'm Sarah from the Definitive Healthcare team. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar, Planning Your 2022 Medical Device Marketing and Sales Strategy. I'm excited to be hosting today's session with Brittany Morin-Bazadri, Principal Customer Success Manager, and Ashley Voling, Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Definitive Healthcare. Ashley Voling is a Senior Product Marketing Manager for medical devices at Definitive Healthcare. With a decade of experience in marketing in the life sciences, she specializes in marketing plan development, go-to-market strategy, and other commercial strategic initiatives. She has previously held positions at ICU Medical and Hospira, a Pfizer company. Brittany Morin-Bazadri is a Principal Customer Success Manager at Definitive Healthcare and has experience partnering with our medical device, pharmaceutical, provider, and staffing agency clients. With a master's degree in medical sociology, she also writes about the intersection of social and clinical sciences and the implications on patient care. Welcome, Brittany and Ashley. Now, I'd like to hand off to Ashley.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, everyone, for joining today's webinar. We have a lot of content to cover over the next 30 minutes, so quickly running through the agenda. We're going to primarily discuss best practices through the review of case studies from other medical device companies. Before we jump into that, we're going to review and align on key elements of the strategic plan to align marketing and sales. Once we've covered that content, my colleague Brittany will take a deeper dive into 3 case studies. As a marketing or sales professional, your annual strategic plan should include many elements. Today, we are going to focus in on these 6 key areas, and given our time, we will be honing in on the bolded subsections. If your plan doesn't include these categories, you may want to consider modification. And it's important to call out that as you put together your strategic plan, you should have a realistic idea as to how you're going to bring them from idea to execution. Whether you're part of a mature commercialized organization or new to market, it's important to realize that the market share, market trends, competitive landscape, and more can change drastically in a short time. How you plan and execute each year is always important, and you should be informing your plans with healthcare commercial intelligence. In the opening section for setting business goals and priorities, you'll want to ensure you have an accurate description and understanding of your market, as well as the ability to define the market size and market share breakdown. Some examples of common business goals and other priority initiatives could include items like growing the business 15% in the next year or capturing 5% market share. The overarching items in this section should be informed by data and analytics stemming from the detail in these other 5 sections. Moving on to market understanding, this section should include market trends, which are not only critical to identify, but also to understand how your business may be impacted in terms of the ability to sell or market effectively. Understanding your customers sounds like an obvious requirement of your strategic plan. However, special attention should be paid to understanding your total addressable market. There may be areas of the patient journey that allow for earlier intervention, or doctors that may not specialize in a specific therapeutic area that turn out to be a key missed market. Once you have an understanding of the full market potential, a segmentation and targeting strategy will be essential to ensuring that you're creating or delivering the right message and right solutions to your targets. Taking an even deeper dive from there is understanding personas. Who are your decision makers? Who are your influencers? Where are referrals coming from? What's important to them? And what problems are they trying to solve? Understanding who your competitors are, their market share, who they are affiliated with via Sunshine Act reporting data can help to give you a competitive advantage. This information should help to inform sales and marketing strategy and will be important in achieving new market entry or market share capture initiatives. Product personas and messaging alignment under the product understanding category should tie in several elements of your strategic plan and begin to inform actionable marketing content and sales strategy. Marketing programs should not only be purposeful, but include the right message to the right targets to aid the sales organization. Marketing budgets are limited and results matter. Therefore, it's important to strive for making every dollar spent move the needle. Later in the presentation, we'll cover a case study highlighting the best practices for how one medical device company was able to effectively deploy a blockbuster campaign that hit the right targets. As I touched on in the previous slide, data and analytics improve the effectiveness of your plan. Throughout your strategic planning process, you should be asking yourself some key questions aligning to the categories we previously reviewed. The questions that you see here really just scratch the surface, and as you begin to take deeper dives into your marketing and sales plans to answer these questions, you'll inevitably have several more and continue to need more data. The leadership teams in your organization value data and analytics, which is why your strategic plans should be developed with a data-driven approach. Not only that, but accomplishing your goals will depend on the quality of your data. If you're making decisions based on market share or market trend data that your company purchased 4 years ago or even 1 year ago, you're setting yourself up for failure because the information is outdated and no longer relevant. And as mentioned previously, you should have a realistic idea as to how you're going to execute on your strategic plan. Based on surveys from medical device leaders, the answer is data. Medical device leaders have been the target of many surveys around the importance and necessity of accurate and timely data, and these results shouldn't shock you. 69% of medical device executives rank data and analytics as the technology that will have the greatest impact in the next 5 years. And 56% of CEOs are concerned about the integrity of the data upon which they make their decisions. So let's make sure your plans and decisions are being made with the right data. The volatility of the medical device business environment can cause many companies to adopt reactive strategies as opposed to proactive ones. And data can allow medical device companies to be more successful. We've talked through some best practices at a high level, and now we're going to talk through some considerations in the strategic planning process. The first is competitive landscape and account targeting. If you're new to market and starting from scratch, you'll need to quickly understand the competitive landscape, identify account targets, and how to segment them. Mature markets may run the risk of new market entrants encroaching on your market share, and understanding how to combat that will be an important aspect of your plan. In one case study that we'll review, you'll see how one medical device company was able to identify a completely missed market opportunity. The second consideration is in maximizing your marketing budget. Budget is precious, and you want to ensure that it's being spent as effectively as possible by reaching targets that can move the needle for your organization. And finally, if you have go-to-market strategy as a key business goal in the next year, you know that the process is filled with many challenges. In one case study, a medical device company was able to effectively accelerate their go-to-market timeline, and you may be able to find synergies in how they accomplish that feat. These will be explored in more detail through the review of the 3 case studies, which my colleague Brittany will cover with you today. I wanted to note that you may or may not recognize yourself or your company in every case study example that we'll be reviewing, as we do recognize that every medical device company offers vast differences in clinical solutions. However, the commonality is in the need to develop an annual strategic plan using a data-driven approach. Take it away, Brittany.
Thank you so much, and thanks for everyone who's joining us today. I'm really excited to talk about these case studies. The next 3 that we're going to be talking about, we have done a lot of really cool projects with our clients this year, and we've learned a lot from them as well. So I'm hoping that you'll also learn as much from them as we have. The first case study that we're going to review is a competitive landscape and market capture. So one of our clients, let's review here the challenge, the solution, and the result. For one of our clients, they had in their sales data an understanding at the account level who was buying their products. And they knew that their competitive share, let's say, was about 80% of the market. But what they didn't know is who in each of these accounts was buying from them and who was buying from their competitor. So what we did is we used our claims data to identify those specific physicians who are buying from their competitor so that they could segment each of those accounts and target only those physicians who they were wishing to convert. We were able to match against their internal claims data and their sales data, and we were able to identify 1,000% perform physicians using a competitive product. So their marketing team used this data to effectively segment, target, and then position their product to differentiate their product from their competitor. So before using our data, this client would know that, let's say, Mass Gen had an 80% share, or 80% of the doctors at Mass Gen bought their product and 20% bought their competitors, but that was as much as they knew. Now they know down to the physician who uses which product. This allows them to target most effectively. So when we take a deep dive into our competitive landscape, not only are you going to get account level views or physician or influencer level views, you're going to be able to identify completely untapped markets. Being able to identify 8,000 new procedures using competitive data opened up their year for them. So using this data, like I said, they were able to effectively target and segment their product, their market, so they could target their product effectively. So how does this align with the best practices that Ashley was talking about? At first, we have to define our market. We have to know who is buying and who is not, who are the major players in that market, and what is our total market share. From there, we need to define the business goals. If we don't know where we're going, it's going to be very difficult for us to map that path forward to achieving those goals. So we can map those financially, we can map them strategically, we can map for brand reputation. There are a ton of opportunities here to define our business goals, but without those two under our business goals and priorities, the rest really don't matter. From there, once we understand our market, from there we can really segment and target appropriately. So we want to make sure that we're selling to the right people. At the account level, our client didn't really know who within their account bought from them or bought from a competitor. So it was really difficult to know really who to target to. Now we understand who is buying our product, why they're buying it, and we can use that to position to their peers and maybe leverage them as influencers. And finally, by understanding our market, we can identify who our major competitors are. As Ashley said, in mature markets, there are going to be new brand competitors coming into the market. It's important to understand who are the players who may be influencing shifts in your market. When you're in the product, the easiest way to start this is to understand who is doing what type of procedures. So for diagnosing our patients, for this example. So for this example, we're using a diagnosis market overview for a kidney disease. Looking at this screen, I can see that there are 5,000 providers, just over 5,000 providers who have diagnosed this type of patient 2021 through October. Now, if in my sales data set, I know of 3,000 of them, this is an excellent opportunity for me to understand where is the gap in my market. Similarly, we can look at any of the sites of service. So perhaps we are tapped into the physician group market. We can see how many diagnoses that they're actually doing, and are we engaged with them for all of them? With each of these, we can see really who are the providers, at what volume, and who might be emerging this year. It looks like long-term care facilities, there's very few of them, but maybe this is an emerging trend since 2019. These are some things to keep an eye on if I'm doing a market overview. Now, let's go into our next case study here. So we want to make sure that we're hitting accurate targets. So one of our clients used this data to identify their total market opportunity so they could target physicians for a marketing campaign. Our solution is to effectively and accurately segment these physicians to ensure that the marketing spend and the campaign tactics are targeting potential customers performing the highest volume of procedures. As Ashley said before, when it comes to your marketing budget, every dollar counts and you have no time, and you need to make sure you're spending those resources in the right places. It doesn't make sense to be sending marketing or spending your marketing capital on targets that are not as effective. So with this project, our client was able to identify their actual market opportunity, which was 30% higher than what the sales force has estimated. Now, I'm not sure how many of you have had this experience where the sales force is telling you this is our total market opportunity, and you're developing your marketing campaigns around that estimate. But using real life and real contemporary data, you're going to be able to understand your total market opportunity, so you can see perhaps where there are untapped opportunities and where you can redirect those marketing dollars. I mean, 30% more market opportunity, that's where I'd want to spend some money. So let's bring this back to some best practices. Again, we want to understand our customers. We're looking at a total addressable market. What is our total market size here? From there, we can effectively segment and target it. Before, they weren't touching that 30%. So that extra 30% may alter who they decide to target. Specifically the personas. Who are those that we were missing? What's important to them, and what can we solve for them? From there, product understanding is very important. So we want to identify the decision makers and influencers who can develop and execute on our product, and we want to deliver that messaging that resonates with solving their problems. And then with your marketing programs, to have a high level execution, you need to use data, real world, real contemporary data, and execute on those high value targets. A comprehensive data set should absolutely be informing your marketing plan. Now, in the product, what does that look like? So before, we were looking at a total market diagnosis overview. Let's drill down a little bit. We can see every single physician. So we noted before that there were just over 5,000 providers who are diagnosing these types of patients with this specific kidney disease. By going into the physician diagnosis view, what we're able to see is exactly which physicians are diagnosing my patients and at what volumes. A challenge I like to share with my clients is take your sales team's top 10 accounts and measure it against the top 10 accounts in definitive healthcare by volume. And do they align? If not, there's an opportunity for you to really grow that sales force and show them the additional opportunity that they have. Now, let's talk about accelerating your go-to-market strategy. In this day and age, especially post-COVID, timing is everything. You need to be the fastest, the first. You need to get in front of your providers or your decision makers at the hospital executive level. So spending time researching those accounts is time that you could be spending developing relationships with your targets. So one of our clients, their challenge was to understand a rather niche patient population within the hospitals and health systems that treat those patients. They were spending so much time researching via publicly available data, was very desperate, non-curated information to identify account targets. I truly can't tell you how many of my clients tell me that some of their research strategy is Google. That's not the most effective use of your team's time. So our solution is to provide them a consolidated and curated data on a single platform. It's a one-stop shop to find everything they need to know about their specific accounts and to address areas of opportunity using the health's own information. So how did this help our team? Our client saw a 70% increase in booked meetings for sales representatives. Before that, all of that time was spent reading their accounts before they made a phone call. Now we're able to deliver that data that they need to be successful so they can spend the rest of their time, the most of their time, developing relationships with their clients. This enabled the sales team to really just be effective in the field. So we were able to identify high quality prospects. So we used our medical claims data and value-based care data to really paint a comprehensive picture of each of their clients. With that data, we provide tailored messaging. So the teams were able to address each of their executive contacts with a combination of the market data, information on referrals, discharges, readmissions that were specific to that account. We were able to show them a quantifiable return on investment. I mean, 70% extra time to spend with your clients it's invaluable. So we used a combination of claims data specific to these clients so that they were able to spend more time with their clients on their specific needs. So for best practices for your go-to-market strategy, we want to go back to defining our business goals. If you don't know where you want to go, it's hard to get there. So we need to know everything about our market with spending all of our time researching it. By understanding who are the major players in our market, who are the major customers, we can then identify what's important to them and how our product can help solve their top problems. And then finally, understanding the market, having the tools to understand trends in a given market is going to position your team as strategic partners beyond a transactional relationship with their clients. So let's look at how we would view this in the product. So here we're looking at Nemours Children's Hospital. So again, staying with the same diagnosis here, we started with a big picture of how many physicians in the US or how many hospitals in the US are diagnosing my patients. Now we want to know who are the top providers in the US. So we saw that in the previous screenshot. Now we're looking at an account-specific overview. Who are the doctors in my account who are treating my patients? So here we're able to see the top providers who are seeing my patients. So we can see here that our top provider is seeing 21 unique patients in this facility. That type of information is invaluable. Truthfully, product, this take maybe 3 clicks to get to, 3 clicks to know who is the possibly major influencer of your therapy area in your target hospital. This is who I would want to spend some time with. So let's summarize here. Ashley, what are some of the things that you took away from today and in preparing for this?
Thanks, Brittany. So I think the biggest takeaway is, again, that data and analytics really should be informing marketing and sales plans. It really fits into each of the key elements of a good strategic plan. And again, from a planning perspective, it's important to continue and repeat that process annually because the information, the market shifts, competitors change. And again, it's important to stay apprised of all of that.
Right. Now, Sarah, I saw some questions come through today. I want to address one specifically. There's a question here from a guest. In pandemic times where there are no in-person conferences and trade shows, what would be the best market strategy or marketing strategy for new product to the market? I can tell you from my client's experience what they're doing, but I'd also love to hear from Ashley. My clients are spending a lot of time on Zoom and Teams, just like us right here. Trade shows are opening up again. And then also executives are also taking meetings where providers may not have that same bandwidth with their exam rooms or their physician groups or their hospitals being quite busy. Executives are likely to be taking more meetings right now. So a lot of my clients are shifting their focus from providers to either practice administrators or to hospital executives.
Yeah, I think that's great, Brittany. And I agree with all of it. I would also add to that again, ensuring alignment between sales and marketing is going to be extremely important, right? So, ensuring that your marketing messaging is extremely relevant and extremely targeted is going to help, bring leads into the door as well. And then the other thing that I would say too is, again, Brittany had touched on with some of the screenshots of the product, being able to really take a deep dive into, specific physician statistics, hospital readmission rates and things of that nature. So not only tailoring the marketing message, but ensuring that your sales data and the information that you're putting together for your pre-call planning is going to be extremely relevant. And, I'd say that, of course, doing that virtually or in person is going to yield the same benefits.
Great. We do have a few more questions that have come in. It looks like, so this person seems familiar with the product. I'm only seeing Medicare when I log in. Do you actually have commercial claims data as well?
That is a really good question. A lot of our clients have a mix of both claim sets. So the standard product comes with the Medicare claims data. And then if you are interested, or if your market allows for it, we do also have commercial claims data that is contemporary through last month.
Great. Next question is, very interested in marketing to the physicians who are or could be referring to our rendering providers. Is that something that we could see in the product?
Yes, we definitely have referral information in our commercial data set. Medicare does not provide physician to physician referral data the same way that commercial claims do. So if you are a client, my recommendation is to reach out to your customer success manager or your account manager, and they can show you how to view that in the product.
Awesome. All right, next question. Do you have physician emails?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Awesome. And then I think along with that, is there access to hospital and IDN decision makers?
So it depends on who you're talking about with decision makers. So in our product, we do have all of the hospitals who are all the physicians who are affiliated with the hospital and their contact information. And then we also have hospital executives. So we curate all of their contact information as well.
Awesome. All right. And I think, let's see. Somebody did have a follow-up question to, I think, the first question that you took, Brittany, kind of asking about meetings being more one-on-one. Is that something that you or Ashley would have insight into?
So I can certainly speak to that. My clients are definitely going to one-on-one meetings. It's especially because of Teams and Zoom, it's a little bit more difficult to capture all of those calendars at once. So my clients are definitely moving to a more one-on-one setup.
Yeah, and I would also add on to that as well. If you're selling, as an example, into the hospital setting, you're going to encounter your gatekeepers and kind of individuals to sell and to become champions of your product, kind of first and foremost. And then from there, it can open up to, broader, bigger, more like value analysis committee type meetings as well. But I would say absolutely one-on-one meetings seem to be the shifting norm at this point.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, both Brittany and Ashley. Thank you to the audience for tuning in. With that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the webinar. So thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.